Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into some absolutely fascinating source material that reveals how common, seemingly loving Western parenting phrases might actually be hidden psychological traps. I know, it sounds a bit intense, but we're going to break down these deeply ingrained habits and contrast them directly with Japanese parenting methods, which rely heavily on observation instead of evaluation. Honestly, by the time we wrap this up, you might just look at the words you use every single day in a totally different light. So let's kick things off with a question that might cause a bit of cognitive dissonance for a lot of us. Think about the phrase, good job. It's pretty much universally loved, right? It feels super encouraging. We toss it out when a kid finishes a drawing or, solves a puzzle. But our source material points out something wild. These exact words, which are completely meant to build a child up, might actually be building a psychological cage around them instead. Let's look at how exactly this happens. All right, let's really dive into this comparison. The typical Western approach of saying good job is, at its core, an evaluation. You're offering a tiny, immediate reward. But the hidden catch? Children start working purely for that hit of approval, rather than for the actual joy of the activity. Now, contrast that with the Japanese approach, which simply observes without evaluating, saying something like, you used a lot of colors. See the difference? It acknowledges the child's work, but completely removes the judgment. The joy of the task stays entirely intact. And we see this exact same dynamic play out when we talk about a child's ability. Calling a kid smart feels like the ultimate compliment, but again, it's an evaluation of an innate trait. Instead of constantly evaluating intelligence, the Japanese cultural approach places the focus squarely on the effort, saying, you didn't give up. Now, this right here is the critical mechanism for building a true growth mindset. By focusing on the effort, observation separates a child's self-worth from their natural smartness. It essentially tells them, hey, your value isn't tied to some unchangeable genetic lottery. It's built on your own persistence. Decades of research highlighted in our source material actually shows that calling a child smart creates what's known as a fixed mindset. Think of it like this. If a child believes they're inherently smart just because you told them so, suddenly they have a label to protect. And that label, it becomes a cage. They literally start fearing new challenges or difficult puzzles because, well, what if they fail? Failing might mean they lose their smart tag. So they become completely risk-averse just to protect that status. But here's the really incredible part. Dropping the judgment and just observing radically transforms a child's motivation. When you swap out praise for observation, you're guiding the child to find intrinsic value in what they're doing. Observation basically whispers to them, your process matters way more than the outcome. And that is the exact cognitive engine driving a growth mindset. Kids learn that ability isn't just something you're born with, it's something you actively earn through hard work. They start to realize that doing the activity is the real reward, not just getting a gold star at the end of it. Okay, moving into our next area. Observation over fear. Let's step out of the classroom and head to the playground to see how this observation versus evaluation idea holds up. If you walk past any park, I guarantee the number one phrase you'll hear shouted from the benches is, be careful. But what if we use the observation approach instead? What if we asked, does your balance feel right? Instead of yelling a warning that basically broadcasts panic and danger, asking about their balance is a brilliant observation technique. It redirects the child's attention inward, prompting them to literally physically assess their own body and their own situation. Because here's the crucial point. Constantly saying, be careful, doesn't actually create a cautious, safe child. It kind of does the opposite. It creates a frozen, timid person. It silently communicates that the world is this terrifying place and they shouldn't make a single move without an adult's permission. But by observing and asking them to check their balance, you're actually teaching them to trust their own senses. Next up, let's talk about witnessing instead of fixing. We're going to look at emotional distress now, which triggers a habit that is super deeply wired in pretty much all of us. When a child gets hurt or upset, our immediate knee-jerk instinct is to shut that negative emotion down. Stop crying, you're fine. But the Japanese method we're exploring, it involves quietly witnessing the emotion without trying to magically fix it or judge it. They might say, that was really upsetting, wasn't it? You aren't fixing the problem, you are simply bearing witness to their current reality. And think about it. Telling a kid to stop crying doesn't just erase their pain. It leads directly to emotional suppression. It teaches them that their raw, authentic feelings are just an inconvenience to the adults in the room. And man, that can easily trigger a lifelong habit of hiding their true emotions from the world. Our source material actually lays out a brilliant, practical way to handle these moments in 3 simple steps. First, calmly name the feeling. Second, remain completely silent, literally just be a witness. And third, let the crying pass naturally. It's amazing, but when we actually stop fighting the emotions and trying to force them away, the crying almost always passes so much faster, and the child walks away feeling truly seen. Which brings us to our next concept, reasoning over blind authority. So what happens when you are just completely exhausted? It's the end of the day, your patience is gone, and you just want to stop an argument over putting on a jacket. We have all heard or probably said, "because I said so." And yeah, it stops the argument. But consider the Japanese reasoning approach here. Because it's cold outside and your body needs warmth. Instead of flexing raw parental power to force obedience, this observation approach connects the rule directly to real-world logic. The hidden lesson behind "because I said so" is actually pretty devastating if you think about it. It teaches kids that whoever holds the power doesn't need a logical reason. It completely prioritizes blind obedience. But by giving a real-world connection, like the fact that human bodies literally need warmth, we are shaping independent thinkers. We're creating individuals who actually grasp the why and will follow the rules even when there isn't an authority figure standing right over their shoulder. So if we take a step back and synthesize all this source material, the massive psychological shifts become super clear. Moving from controlling to observing literally changes everything. We are swapping external evaluation out for internal motivation. We're trading constant fear for a trust in one's own senses. We're replacing emotional suppression with acceptance and blind obedience with independent thought. It is a complete paradigm shift in how a young mind interacts with the world around them. All right, let's talk application with the 7-day challenge. Acknowledging that these old phrases like "good job" and "be careful" are incredibly hardwired into our brains, the source offers a really straightforward way to start breaking the cycle. Step 1, just pick one single phrase to focus on. Don't do them all at once. Step 2, take a 5-second pause before speaking when you feel the urge to use that old phrase. That pause, that is where the magic happens. It completely short-circuits your old habit loop. Step 3, use the observation approach instead. And step 4, just quietly observe how the child's response changes. I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder today. Replacing a quick evaluation with a thoughtful observation definitely takes some effort at first. But as we've seen, it fundamentally builds a growth mindset and deep, lasting resilience. It's a powerful reminder that the everyday, casual words we choose carry immense weight in shaping the minds of tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I seriously encourage you to try out that 5-second pause today. See what happens.